Hello, scholars! I'm going to be helping you with your first grade skills lessons. My name is Miss Jane. Let's get started on lesson 5. Today's objectives are to identify common nouns that name a person, identify letter-sound correspondences, write upper and lowercase letters, and decode and write CVC words. First, we're going to start with some nouns. Today we're going to talk about nouns that name a person. I'm going to say 5 different phrases, and one of the words in each phrase is a noun or a person. After I say the phrase, I'm going to point to you and I want you to shout out the word that is the noun. Number 1, a happy grandmother. If you said grandmother, great job. Number 2, my nice teacher. If you said teacher, pat yourself on the back. Number 3, a funny friend. If you said friend, give yourself a round of applause. Number 4, a serious librarian. If you said librarian, clap 3 times. Last one, a very tall athlete. That one was tricky. If you said athlete, shout hooray. Great job. Remember, a noun is something that names a person, like a grandmother, a teacher, a friend, a librarian, or an athlete. Next, we're looking at 3 new consonants in our consonant code flipbook. What sound do we have here? Say it with me. And what letter do we use to spell the sound? We use an S, as in sun. The power bar on that S is more than halfway. That means it's pretty common for us to use an S to spell the sound. We have another spelling here, 2 S's, as in dress. Sometimes 2 S's will make the sound. The power bar is much smaller, so we won't see that as often. The sound has 3 more spellings in here too. We're not going to talk about those yet, but just know that there are more spellings that make the sound. The next consonant we're looking at is Z. Say it with me. Z. And what letter do we use to spell this sound? A Z. A Z as in zip. But the power bar for Z is pretty short. That means it's not very often that we'll use a Z to spell the sound Z. Another option is 2 Z's, as in buzz. In the word buzz, the sound has 2 Z's, but that power bar is even smaller than 1 Z. That means it's even less common. But here, we have an S. We learned last year that S's sometimes say Z, like in dogs. Did you hear it? Dogs. Sounds like a Z, but it's an S. The power bar for this is pretty long. That means that common will use the S to say Z. That might be tricky to remember. The third consonant we're going to talk about today is, this one is, say it with me, and we spell the sound with an H. H as in hot. The weather is hot in the summer. The power bar underneath the H is all the way across, it looks like. That means it's pretty common that we'll use an H to spell the sound. Next, we're going to look at drawing these letters that we've been talking about. We've got the lower and uppercase S, Z, and H. I just want to remind you that we use the uppercase or capital letters when we're writing the word at the beginning of a sentence. Otherwise, we use the lowercase letters. But it's good to practice all of them. Let's start with the letter S. You're going to start just below the dotted line in the middle and draw a half circle to the left and then a half circle to the right. A little tricky. If you make a mistake, you can erase and try again. The capital or uppercase S is just like the little one, except you're starting at the top. Half circle, half circle. Just like that. Next, let's look at the letter Z. For the lowercase z, we're going to start right below the dotted line. Draw a line across, diagonal, and then another line across. For the capital Z, it looks just like the lowercase, but we start at the top. Draw a line across, diagonal line down, and a line across. Next, we have the letter H. The lowercase h is a tall letter, so we need to start at the top line and draw a long line down and then a short hump that stays underneath the dotted line. Don't draw your hump too big. For the capital H, you're going to start on the top, draw one long line down, leave a little space, draw another long line down, and then draw a line in the middle connecting these two lines. Just like this. Make sure you don't cross over the lines. It's not like a T. For our second page, we're going to do the same thing that we have been doing. Read the word and then write it underneath the picture that it matches. Let's blend the first word. Say all of the sounds one by one. T, a, p. T, a, p. Stamp. Write the word underneath the picture of the stamp. What do we have next? Let's sound it out. Say the sounds with me. Hat. Hat. That's an easy one. Find the picture of the hat and write the word underneath. Ready? Say the sounds with me. It. Ist. Fist. Find the picture of the fist and write the word underneath. One more. Let's do it together. Ham. Find the picture of the ham and write the word ham underneath it. Great job! When you're finished, give yourselves a pat on the back. The last thing we're going to do is a couple of tricky words. I've got a tricky word here. Do you know what that tricky word is? Let's try sounding it out. Ah. There are dogs at the park. Does that sound right? Doesn't quite sound right to me. There are no dogs at the park, but that doesn't look like it should say no. That's why it's a tricky word. N-O is the tricky word no. Say it with me, no. Let's read a couple sentences. Repeat after me. There are no dogs at the park. There are no shoes in my bag. Remember, N-O is the tricky word no. Next, we have this tricky word. Sa? Never heard of that before. What could it be? If our last tricky word was no, so. This one is so. It doesn't look like it should be so, but it is. That's why it's a tricky word. Repeat after me. I had so much fun at school today. I am so mad. What's this tricky word? That's right, so. I've got one more for you. Do you remember this word? Ah. He has a bag of chips. Does that sound right to you? Doesn't sound right to me. He has a bag of chips. For this word, the F says V. It makes the sound a V normally makes. Of. He has a bag of chips. She has a can of jam. Remember, OF spells what tricky word? That's right, of. Great work today. Give yourselves a round of applause.